Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelley Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelley Brickle.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. I am Kelley Brickle, and this is the Psychic Hour. Thank you for joining us today. We have the wonderful Kelley Eckhardt on. She's a medium. She's an animal communicator. She's a psychic. She is a spiritual teacher, and she has her own storefront up in Sacramento. She's a busy lady, so I'm excited to bring her in just a couple of minutes. I want to say hello to everybody coming on in. You can let me know where you're from or just send a warm hello. So thank you to Keith. Hello, Keith. Hey, thank you for wishing us an amazing day. It's been good so far. Thanks, Keith. Hello, Iris. Hello, Jennifer from Las Vegas. Hey, hello, Evelyn. Thank you for the love and the glorious sunshiny day energy. I love it. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for the hearts. Hello, Fran. Hey, love and hugs. Hello, Sylvie. Okay. So just a really quick topic of the day. And then we're going to go into bringing on Kelley, a really short and sweet. It's funny because everyone's talking about sunshiny energy and, we have a comment on gratitude here and wishing an amazing day. And really that's what I invite you. We're still in the new year. We're still fresh in January. We're only halfway in, but I really invite you to make your intentions just come all the way down from your head to your heart to your feet. You might even have found that the intentions you had from last year are just starting to really shape itself this year. That can happen sometimes. Sometimes when we complete a cycle, we find that we've closed that chapter. So then we're ready to embody what we try to do all year long. And we don't officially start, let's say, the newness or the new energy right away. We kind of wrap up what we've wanted and intended and wished for, and we find ourselves becoming that. So if you can, whether it's today or reflect sometime this week and see what did you so much want in 2024 and see if it's partially coming to you right now. Intention is funny, manifestation is funny. Our energy takes time to catch up with our spirit and our thoughts. Our spirit is so quick with what it can manifest, but the body has to catch up. And sometimes the body goes, hold on, I need some of these conditions to present themselves, or I need to catch up with, who I am as a person. And I know that I've started to see already some of the things I've intended for last year coming quite quickly this year. And it's been really healing and nice to feel that brightness and that sunshiny energy as you guys are wishing me in the comments. And hello from Liverpool. Hello. Awesome. Hello, Autumn. Hello, Ava or Eva. Hello, Jess. Thank you. Lisa, gratitude is everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Oh, wow. I love these comments. We'll start answering some questions and the comments with Kelley herself. So I want to bring her in because there's so many lovely people here. People are talking about numbers. I'm seeing 444. All right. With that said, maybe the 444 is the drum roll for Kelley. So let's do it. All right. Hey.
I like the drums.
Do you have any favorite numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, you do the drums too?
444. It's one of my favorite numbers, all the fours.
Well, there you go. Rightfully so. Kelley is a friend of the show. She's been here a couple times, so I'm sure people are familiar with her. But also for anyone who is getting to know Kelley Eckhardt, Kelley Eckhardt is a psychic medium, animal communicator, and spiritual teacher. She was born with memories of her time in the spirit world and many of her past lives. Kelley's first memory in spirit world was of her mother giving birth to her and her brother, who were put up for adoption. This was 13 years before she was born. Being the youngest child in a big family and growing up in Venice Beach, California in the 1970s, where everyone had crystals, bongs, tarot cards on the coffee table, contributed to her ability to relate to many people. Always having a strong connection to her angels and the spirit world since birth was key to her surviving a dysfunctional family with its dynamics at home. Most families were playing Monopoly together. Kelley's family used the Ouija board. And it's true, yeah. On her 11th birthday, Kelley's oldest sister gave her a tarot deck, which she still has to this day. Kelley's gifts have been with her since birth, as it is traits to be psychic and a medium, genetics, and whatever you may call it. She is trained with many teachers, such as those at Arthur Findlay, and has taken many courses to dive deeper into her many gifts. She's been recognized and featured as an expert on the Roni Deutch show, been double tested and validated by Shay Parker's Best American Psychics, and is a credible and reputable member of Bob Olson's Best Psychic Directory. She has been mentored by Thomas John, Lisa Williams, and renowned spiritual mediums Mavis Patilla and Andy Bing. In 2020, Kelley co-authored the #1 best-selling book, The Last Breath. Kelley loves learning and continuing to develop her gifts further. She understands that there is always more to know and prides herself in lifelong learning. She understands that navigating life-shaping grief, having experienced the loss of her oldest son, Ron, when he was 20, is something that is ongoing, as well as she draws from this devastating experience and her own healing process to offer others an understanding of the spirit world. Welcome, Kelley.
Thank you. Gosh, it's so hard to hear somebody read your story.
There's a lot in life. There's a lot in life to be experienced. Oh my goodness. And that's only a snippet. That's only a small portion.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm so honored. And we're going to have you on our show later this month as well. I think next week, right? Next Thursday. Yeah.
Next week on the 23rd. And that's Seen Beyond. And people can go to your website to find more about that too, because you have a weekly show and podcast as well.
Yeah, Cheryl and I do it together. I'm not brave enough to do on my own like you, Kelley. I need someone to talk to.
It's not the person. I'm not on my own. I have you, but I do a mixture. I do a mixture. It's very nice to have people. I agree. Yeah. And sometimes it's nice just to let your energy fly loose and see what happens. So I want to say hello to everybody. Michael Christopher, hello. I remember the bong days. I love that.
Me too. I'm not a pot smoker, but everybody had a bong on their coffee table growing up. I'm not lying. It was the 70s and it was Venice Beach. I was like the only child who didn't have a hippie parent because my mom was 10 years older than all the other parents.
My goodness. Yeah, I believe it. Oh my gosh. Iris says hello. Jennifer, they're giving you hearts. Joanne, Jasmine, Jessie. I'm just saying hello to everybody in the house. Kelly, Deborah, Tammy. Thank you, everybody. And then there's some people up top I'm not sure if I got to as well. But thank you. Wow. So we have so many comments and we have people sharing and wishing us love. I want to just for a moment, before we go into comments, please, if anyone has questions to ask Kelley about, mediumship, sure, we're not doing readings today, but we are doing questions with talking about energy, about experiences that we both have had, or maybe you're having, and Kelley can give her perspective as a professional medium on it, or an animal communicator perspective. Okay, so I want to hear what's going on with you because so much is happening. You just finished
It's been crazy. Like, I feel like
events.
2025 started out as like, okay, 2024 was just kind of like a precursor. We're just kind of like warming you up. And then it was like almost like boom, throw you into this. And I'm so blessed that we got to have Cindy Kaza. And on such a, I'm all about numbers, like you. And she did her first big, like she came on the 10th, but her big event was the 11th, 111. I mean, I love the date. And I think we had the most people we've ever had in our store on that night. We had
Ooh.
about 75 people, okay, in the store. It was so crazy. She thought it was great because she's used to big crowds. My husband and I were like, oh my gosh, that was so much, but it was so amazing. So I'm really honored and blessed to have hosted her in our store. And I'm honored and blessed to have hosted other people that have come to Sacramento, including yourself, who's coming next month. I mean, for me, the spirit world and the reason I created my crystal store / event center was really to bring community to our world, and to build that community for not just myself, but for my students, for other, mediums around the world that I want to bring. I really just want to share our world with like normal people who've never experienced it, but they're drawn to it.
It's really needed because I know that one of the most often things that I see from whether it's young people or people who have had this gift all their life, and they just want to, I guess, interact with it more. There's this, sensation of just not being confident or being unsure of our own feelings, of our own
Doubt,
thoughts,
not
of
a
our own.
doubt. Yeah.
Right? And we need a group. We need someone outside of ourselves to go, no, I experienced that too. And what you just told me, yep, that's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. That kind of explains my whole life. I've never fit in. I never really had true friends. I'm definitely a little bit on the spectrum, and I have a child that's on the spectrum. And hi, Jennifer Rose. I love her. I just saw her little comment down there.
Hey,
Anyways,
Jennifer.
I didn't realize I was on the spectrum. I knew I was different, but I didn't know I was on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, until my son was born. He's 17 now, and he's really the beginning of my spiritual journey at the same time. And to me, it has just opened up this world of like-minded souls where I finally feel like, oh my gosh, I fit in. I'm not the odd person. I'm not saying weird things. Like everybody understands me. So to me, it really just brought like comfort to my world, and brought my husband, in on it because he's also open and very connected and a little bit odd like me. And we've just found like nothing but love in this environment, and made friends. We even made friends like here locally with another psychic medium and his wife that we actually really like hanging out with them, and we have stuff in common. And I'm like, when does that ever happen, right? So like we're just so like excited, just because it's just brought so much love to our world. And I love
Yeah,
that.
I think that's amazing. And that's showing you're in the right place because
Yeah.
it's hard for some people at least to find your tribe. I mean, I know that I'm still finding my tribe. I'm blessed to find people along the way, but
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't always click for me either. And I
Yeah.
know there's people who feel like that truly because they really experience the world differently.
Yeah.
And when they go, hey, this is what's going on with me, there's like crickets.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting today for the first time. We just joined the East Sacramento Chamber of Commerce for the crystal store, right? And everybody gets them talk and introduce themselves. They're like, I'm a realtor, I'm an insurance agent, I'm an attorney. And then it comes up to me and I'm like, well, hi everybody. I talk to dead people and I have a crystal store. Like it was so awkward, and it was a little bit crickets at first, but then they all got excited. But it was like so nerve-wracking for me because I told my husband I'm not in my like loving environment. I'm going outside of that to reach out to others. And it's hard, and I was so scared. I kind of had a little bit of a panic attack like, what I have most of my life when I just was going through life until I found or embraced, not found, embraced like my spiritual side and accepted who I was and just said, this is who I am, love me or leave. And really nobody's left, you know? And everybody was excited, and I'm going to host a mixer, and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, they were all like wanting to like plan things with me. And I was like, oh my God, I was so scared that they were going to be like, oh, stay away from Kelley.
You're in the right spot. You're in the right spot. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
They were great. They were loving. But 10 years ago, that would have been like so nerve-wracking for me. I wouldn't have been able to do it. And that's what spirituality has done for me. It's brought me out of my shell. It's made me accept that I am who I am, and I love who I am now. And that I only want to attract the people that appreciate this. And if they don't, then that's okay. I'm okay with them moving on. They're not where I'm at right now. We're in different places,
For sure. It takes time to get there because we have to be so steadfast in that, and we'll get like tested. Someone might all of a sudden reject us, or someone, might make us feel a certain way. But it seems like truly when you're where you're meant to be, it's just easy. It's just easy.
It feels good just being me and not having to pretend or fit in.
Yeah. And when we look up at the people we go, wow, I love their career. I love, how talented they are. I love how kind they are. The people we look up to, whether it's in medium or in another field, even in sports, we don't have a problem, wrapping our head around, well, are they real? I don't know, they might be full of BS. No, we accept them for who we are because we resonate with them. And
I did reach people. I did reach some people. I had a lot of people come up to me after the introductions, and they were so excited that I had joined the chamber, and they're all looking forward to my mixers, and they can't wait to come to my ribbon cutting. And that felt really good because honestly, when we were going there, the luncheon was at noon today. I get fearful. I have anxiety. I'm an empath. I feel, energy. I feel nervous, and I trust the universe. And I felt like this was the right path, but I still was nervous. And people are nervous about what they don't understand. I totally agree about that. But everybody opened up with love, and I thought I'm in the right group. Nobody was like doing this to me. And I'll tell you what. I've had this done to me in the city in Huntington Beach.
They're very conservative over there.
Yes. When I got my business license for my crystal store down there in 2015, the lady did this to me and then did this and started doing a prayer and like pushing me away. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And is she allowed to do this while she's working? I felt so judged. And so insecure, it was difficult. And so you don't get that here in Sacramento. And I love that. You just don't get it.
That's amazing. I've been up to Sacramento a handful of times, but I don't know what the actual reception is with how people are open to it.
They love it. They love spirituality. They're open to it. So different than Southern California, which is a shock because, Southern California is so open, right? But Orange County, super conservative.
Yeah.
Lots of rules, lots of issues. I don't run into that up here. I feel like I'm in the right place. This is my place.
I'm excited. I'm excited to feel the energy of your place.
It's incredible. I'm not saying that to brag. It is.
I believe you. It feels good. Crystal says, congratulations. Love chambers. I'm in the Dallas one. I've heard Dallas can be very conservative, but that's really cool.
That's very cool.
Learning about all the cities.
Yeah. What did somebody say about Santa Fe or New Mexico?
Sedona? There's ever been to Sedona, Arizona?
So there is an event that's going to happen in Sedona that I'm going to try to participate in. I'm just waiting for them to list it with Soul Search. She does a Sedona event, and I definitely am going to jump on that one if it works. Yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
you're already putting it out there, and people are already
I'm
feeling
set.
the energy.
I'm set. Me and Sedona like are two peas in a pod. Whenever I go to Sedona, I just feel like I found home. I love it there.
I love Sedona too. That's a very special place for me as well. I haven't been there in a bit, but I used to go a little bit more. I love the energy.
I try to go
Sedona
once
is
a year.
magical.
I try to go once a year for like a week. I always rent an ATV. I always go off-roading because I look like this older conservative type lady, but I'm psycho. Get me behind an RV, and I'm like an RV, an ATV, and I'm getting like 5 feet air. Okay, I'm crazy. Nobody's allowed in my ATV. It's just me. I wear my helmet. I wear a back brace because I have a lower back problem, but I'm like flooring it around corners. I'm getting air off of the jumps. I feel like in my other life I was a daredevil, and I'm reliving it in this life whenever I can.
You would have to be very comfortable with adrenaline and risk-taking behaviors to do that. Yeah, wow.
I don't know. When I'm behind the wheel, I am a psycho, but it's like a good thing. Like, I mean, literally when I first got my license, so back then they gave you your DMV, like you did your driver's ed at school, at high school, and you went in the car with all your friends with the driving teacher, right? And you all took turns driving. She told me she wouldn't let me drive because I was scary. So I'm not gonna lie, I was not like a perfect kid. I started stealing my mom's Camaro at night, and it was a nice 5.0 Camaro. It was like beautiful 1983 Camaro, and it was only like 2 years old when I got it. And I would steal it every night and learned how to drive on it, like because the driver's ed teacher wouldn't let me practice. So I got my license on my 16th birthday. But one of the things I learned how to do because I was a daredevil was ride on 2 wheels. And so I would take everybody for a ride in the middle of the night, and I would get it on 2 wheels, and we could go about a block on 2 wheels, and then I would land it.
Are you talking about you would actually like angle it up?
I did. It was
Oh
an
my
accident. I took a corner at 70. And it was so intuitive. I just felt it. I felt into it. And so and then I would race people at the intersections. Don't know where this came from. I'm convinced I was a race driver in my past life. I'm not like this now. I'm so mellow now because I'm like old, right? But when I first got my license at 16, I would pull up to the intersection. I pull in the gutter lane and cut everybody off. My car was like, it was quick. It was a Camaro. It was a 5.0, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're all too slow. And I'd like cut them all off. I was so obnoxious and it was so embarrassing. But I knew then that like I had this daredevil side in me. And then my husband, when I met him, he was into ATVs and RVs, and we took the kids camping and we got everybody ATVs, and he had a little kind of mini dirt bike, and I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, but I knew how to clutch, and I taught myself in the desert. I just started riding that thing. A couple times I did a wheelie and lost it, and I just jumped up because it was little, but I taught myself how to ride a little dirt bike and do a wheelie, and I loved it. And I'm like, I'm a daredevil. So he doesn't want to buy me my own ATV. He only lets me rent. He says it'll be deadly if I do.
I can only imagine. Do you still know how to do like tricks now?
I don't know how to do it. I just do it. It's not intentional. Like the whole thing of riding on 2 wheels, that was an accident. And then I went with it, and I could repeat it, and then like the wheelie, that was because I didn't know how to do a motorcycle, and I just went like that, and it just took off and went up. And I, you learn. But I've always had a daredevil side to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Abby, I honor that. There's a way where you could go into your chart and find where that comes from a little bit, and also
somebody showed me once. Yeah, somebody showed me once. It's definitely there. It's definitely. I am convinced I was like Evel Knievel or somebody in another life, right? I'm convinced. I don't know. My kids will tell you the same thing.
Do you feel like you're a performer? Like you would actually like perform and things like that too? Like on the
If
spot, like,
you know what?
okay,
If I had it to do over and go back in time, I'd be a stunt woman.
there you go. There
I
you
really
go.
would, I'm not lying, like, if I had the confidence that I have now and I was, like, 18, I would be like, "I'm gonna be a stunt woman," and I would do that. That's what I would do. I mean, I love this stuff. I do.
That
I don't know.
that's that's an interesting life that's waiting for you the next time you do things around, but being a
Right.
medium in the
Yeah, I
time being
mean,
is pretty interesting enough too as well.
who knows, but life's you know what, you only live once, like, you have to, what is that, YOLO? You only live once, right? Like, make the most of it. And I feel like that's kind of how I try to live my life now because I realize how short life is because of what I do for a living, because
Yes.
of the loss we've had in our family with our friends and our own loved ones. There's been a lot of loss, and it's like you see, like, one minute you're talking to somebody and the next minute they're gone, right? Even my son, we were texting the night before and the next day he's gone. So to me, like, the one of the messages I get from spirit, and I think I will always take this message with me everywhere, is that, like, make the most of every moment because all you get to take with you when we go to the other side are those memories, those experiences. We don't take the physical items, the things that cost money. None of that comes with us. It's the moments, the memories, the love that we share with the people we love. So I always try to make the most out of every moment. That's what I try
I
to do.
I think that, yeah, being a medium, it gives you a lot of unique perspectives of how it's really not worth it to get upset about things. Forgiveness is so important. You just
It
don't want
is.
to, you don't want to carry things over. And usually it's not the, spirit's not carrying it over. It's just we're carrying it over into
Right.
years and years and years in our relationships.
Yep.
And um, we can live as much as we can a version of heaven here if we want to.
That's exactly it. I feel like I have found my heaven in this lifetime. Even though I've had all this loss, I still feel like I have all these beautiful memories. I have all these beautiful connections. I have all these wonderful things that I have done with the people I love that are gone. And I hold on to those. I cherish those. And those are the things that I get to remember and feel, not the loss and the pain of losing that person. And it doesn't mean I don't struggle. Like I'm losing a best friend now, Allison. Like she doesn't have much longer to go, right? Um, it's a struggle. I'm so sad that I'm losing her, but I'm trying to stay focused on all the fun that her and I've had and all the fun memories, right? And that's what I try to focus on and try to keep her upbeat about it because her time's limited. And you have to remember that. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, Allison's leaving us soon. We don't know when. I am like going to make the most of every moment I have left with her and all my friends. Yeah.
And you're referencing Allison Gannon, which some people might know. In the comments, she's a well-known medium.
Yes.
And you have done a lot of events and classes with her and known her for a very
Yes.
long time.
Been one of my best friends for years and a big part of my spiritual journey. I mean, she's the reason I mentored with Mavis Patilla. She's the reason I mentored with Andy Bing. Like, she really helped me on my journey from the beginning. I met her in 2015, and I was a couple years, 2 or 3 years into my journey already. But again, the first 3 years, I was a little bit shy or timid. I met her and she really pushed me out of my comfort zone. She really like shoved me into the group, right? To go and
Yeah.
meet, network, and get to know people and introduce me. And I was so timid and so shy. And it really was the beginning of my career because of her. I kind of attribute it all to her. Yeah.
I'm trying to think when I met you. I think I met you in 2017. I might have met you right before that, but I know I met you.
I met you 2016, and it was at a workshop with Mavis.
Oh, I wasn't with. I think you're thinking of Andy Bing. I think you're thinking of
Maybe
Andy
it was
Bing.
Andy Bing, but it was 2016. Are you sure you never took one of Mavis at my workshop, my class, my
I didn't.
tour?
I never took one with Mavis. I thought about it. I thought about
Then
it.
maybe you came to an event at my crystal store, because I know I met you when I first opened the store. You came to an event.
Okay, that might have been that. So I might have met you in 2016, like, yeah, right before an event, like your store. That would make
Yes.
sense. That's probably
I
what it was.
remember
Yes,
meeting
that's
you
what it
then.
was.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then
remember
there was
too.
also Tony Stockwell.
Yes. Correct. Yep, I remember that.
We were both at an event. Yeah.
And that was up north in like Calabasas area. There was that. But I just when I met you and I met Allison too, even though you had only known each other for about a year,
I met her in 2015. Yeah.
It was like you guys had always known each other, honestly.
Well, that's what's so weird. I was taking classes with Medium Fleur. I met her in like 2013, and I started taking mentorship classes with her. She's quite young, and she's like in her 30s now, but an amazing teacher. And she wasn't teaching a lot. And I said, Fleur, I need to learn more. I'm so obsessed. I want to take, development circles, everything. So she said, hey, Kelley, I wouldn't say this to everybody, but I feel like you've got advanced skills. And if you have the money, start taking development circles with in classes with more advanced classes, like intermediate to advanced. And I was like, and she goes, and I really think you should go into trance mediumship, because you're a natural trance medium. I've seen you go into trance like that. And she goes, and people spend their whole lifetime doing that. They'll spend 30 years training to do what you just did naturally on your own. She goes, I really want you to work with like a trance medium. So that's how I found Allison, because she had a trance mediumship class in Seattle. And that's kind of what opened up my journey with Allison. And I met her through that. And Tony Stockwell. I went to take one of his trance classes at Omega in 2015, I think.
Wow. Yeah, all the connectors, and I don't realize all the backstories, but I didn't know that. And yeah, it's just that's an example of, something's easy and just clicks.
Yeah, when I met her at the workshop, she's, Olson, I love her, but she's an oddball. She's an oddball. And I was like, wow, this is not what I expected. And we're all judgmental, even though we think we aren't. We don't want to be.
Sure.
I, of course, judged her, and I was like, oh, I think she might be this or she might be that, right? And she had asked me to pick somebody else up from the airport that I'd never met. And that woman was horrible. It was like the worst drive, the 2-hour drive from, Seattle to this workshop deep in Seattle. This woman was horrible. Oh my God.
Oh.
And then the woman was like attached to me and trying to hang with me. And I was telling Allison, save me. And she did. She separated us, thank God. I'm like, I want nothing to do with her. She scares me. Anyways, we became really close friends. And instantly it was as if I had known her my whole life. And she had an uncle in Huntington Beach and said, hey, I'm moving there soon. That's so weird. I met you. She goes, I'm coming to, and I met her in 2015, I think in May. And she moved in September, October, and we opened the store in November of 2015. So my family at first was like, I don't like this girl. She seems really attached to you. And I'm like, no, we just hit it off. Everybody was all protective of me, what's going on? Why did she move to Huntington? I'm like, no, she was already coming here. It was all a coincidence. And we ended up becoming best friends. Even my husband's her best friend. And then she ended up living with us eventually. It's just sort of you feel like sometimes you meet people and it's you feel like you've known them your whole entire life. And that's kind of how Allison and I were. It was as if we'd known each other forever.
That's what it felt like. It truly felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like soul sisters.
We had so much fun. And that was a part of my life where I became aware of how judgmental I was. because I was judging her on her looks because she's an oddball. And I was like, "Ooh, I think she's gay. I think she's this. I think she's that." Right? And then I have to be conservative. She doesn't have a sense of humor, I don't think. And that was like all blown away. Like everything I perceived was wrong. And I'm intuitive, right? So it was also kind of like a blowback into my face of judging people on their looks. It was before I was really embraced into I hadn't fully jumped into my development. I was delving into it. Now I was kind of had to look at myself like, why am I judging somebody by their looks and not by their energy? Why am I judging this person, on this, and this, and not accepting who they are because they're a beautiful soul?
Right. Right.
And my husband too. It was kind of, she's a part of my growth. I always tell her. Yeah.
It's, if people ever wonder like, oh, what do mediums see or psychics see? And, we all have different gifts and we all work with energy differently. So this is not one size fits all, but truly we're looking at the energy of a situation and it looks different than the physicality of a situation. I mean, something I guess to highlight this is I was getting my hair cut once and I, go to this place often. It's in Huntington Beach, funnily enough or not. And so I'm sitting in the chair and I'm just comfortable. I know my hairdresser. And then someone comes in because I hear the little bell ring and I turn and I went, oh, wow, that person looks like Brad Pitt, right? And I just don't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just like go back. And then he sits down right next to me and I'm just like, he does look like Brad Pitt. Let me go check that really quick. And so I look and again, because he's, right by me and he doesn't look anything like Brad Pitt. And I go, that's why, what was, that's
energetically.
Weird. Right. But then all of a sudden the hairdresser working on him goes, hey, Brad, what kind of style would you like today? Okay. So
you psychically heard his name.
I guess so, but that's how energy works. Okay.
Yeah, it does work that way. It's so true. Sometimes I just know things. I don't know how I know it. It just popped into my head. And then so I have a little bit of impulsiveness where I just blurt things out without thinking. Not so bad now because I'm older. But when I was younger, I would get in trouble a lot because it would come out of my mouth and I didn't even realize I said it. Yeah. But usually it was really accurate. I just said exactly what I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to seem bonkers at times, exactly. But if you're just letting kind of the broadcast happen or whatever oddities are happening, it usually goes well, after you've established some kind of understanding of what's happening to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's not so freaky.
Freaky's good sometimes.
Nancy, freaky.
Me too. Nancy is giving you a shout out. I want to say hi to Nancy. Nancy's amazing. She's saying hi, Kelley. Kelley is amazing. Kelley Eckhardt. When I was working for Medium, we used to refer you to other clients. So she's
thank you. That's so sweet. I appreciate that. I have a list of mediums that I refer people to when I know I'm not the right medium for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People I respect, and you're on that list, Kelley. I'm always referring people to you for numerology and things like that. And I don't know if this is a specialty of yours, but I do refer people to you a lot when I feel like you can help them with their business questions. I also work with business clients, but sometimes I send them to you because I feel like you're more suited for some reason. So I don't know if you do business readings, but I've always felt like you're good at that.
I do. My head thinks about that a lot and can look at people like it's funny because we all have like these different little areas that we can dip into. And when I was younger, and this sounds really weird. so this, I'm not acting like I was an expert or anything, but it's going to sound, so I'm aware of how weird it sounds and how we can be oddballs when we're young, but I was really good at reading relationships when I was young.
Me too. That's why I feel like you and I are both good at relationships and business.
That's
my expertise.
Because like there's like this certain if you're sensitive, you have, and you're young too, you have this certain objectivity of what the energy looks like, and if someone's a good fit for another person. And yes,
It was my forte. It was always
same here.
I didn't realize it until I got older.
And I'm still good with it now, but I would say I've shifted into seeing where people are in business and their relationships in business. Yes. That's kind of bumped up more than the romantic.
Yes. Mine's turned into more business relationships versus, but I still do like relationships. I have a relationship compatibility reading that I do that is for businesses or personal. Mostly, I will be honest, 90% of them are business. Yes. I have, for some reason, I've fallen into this place of I am helping, and this is so strange because it's kind of like a newer business, right? But social media people that are, what do you call those? Influencers.
Yeah.
I have a large amount of influencers on my clientele list that I work with that helps them decide who they're going to work with or network with online. And I don't know how I fell into that, but I did. And then I do animal readings, and I have like 3 dogs. At one point I had 5. I have 3 dogs, 5 cats, 2 praying mantises. So I am an animal lover, right? But when I first started doing these readings, I started getting all these horse people. So I now have become like the horse specialist. And I have like a bunch of clients with horses. And I never had a horse. I mean, I've only gone horseback riding like when I rent a horse, right? But I somehow seem to be has become one of my specialties.
There's themes. There's absolute themes.
Strange.
There's certain types of passings that I usually never see. I get clusters of similarities, and then I get, different stuff too. But there's like certain types of the way that people pass that I hear from other mediums. Oh, I deal with that all the time. I'm like, oh, I never deal
with children that have died a lot because of my son. So I'm always getting young men that died of an overdose or died of a heart condition or died young for unexplained. Nobody knows. It just and I always get alcoholic, dysfunctional fathers. But I mean, that's all my data bank, right? But those seem to be my specialties. And it feels like this year, so I was trying to steer clear of I was trying to push more into my psychic this year, but it feels like Spirit's telling me, no, Kelley, this is your thing. You need to help all the parents. So I'm still working with a lot of parents.
There's so much we can do with our specialties. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
we're all unique, right?
We're all unique. And there's these certain, this is going to sound funny too, because we're sharing kind of some funny stories. I got a piece of hair in my face. But when I was, this was like close to 10 years ago. Okay. So I'm young. Like imagine 10 years ago, I'm younger.
I mean, you're a baby now.
In some ways, yes, yeah, sure. So you can
I would go back to be your age.
You can imagine. Well, imagine 10 years ago. Yeah. I have like the 8 to 10 year period ago. I have no idea why, Kelley, but people would come to me, and the most common theme I would get for a psychic reading, if it wasn't like, love and a general reading, was people would come to me over custody battles. And so they would have me looking at legalities, and that would happen often. And I'm just like, are you sure you want me to look at that?
Why though? Do you wonder? Like, I often wonder why are horses coming into my energy? I know why I lost like debt, mothers and parents losing a child. I get that. But I often wonder why horses. So why legalities for you?
I don't even have a history to know that. It was it just was coming, and I'm just like, okay, well,
so interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I would get stuff, but like I've never thought that that's my specialty, but people would just come with that always and over, different age groups, different.
I think it's because you're so level-headed and you seem very fair. And
Yeah,
I feel like
I try to be.
people are drawn to that because I think you're a lot like me. We use both sides of our brain, and that might be what attracts people to you for that, because we're able to see both sides and come up with like the I feel like the fairness meter, like we know what's right. And not that we're perfect, but I feel like we're drawn to that because that's always been something for me too, is being drawn to like what's the fair thing, not what like you want, but what's the fair thing. It's not
Well,
always
it's
what
like
you want.
I would, there's some of it where you kind of like you turn into what's just depending on the constitution of the case, but then there's also a lot of it was, this is what's happened to me. I don't feel like I have control of the situation. How is it going to go, and how can I have help handling it? And I was like, okay, like I'll tell you what I said, but it was just you do your when you're in that situation, you're going to do the best you can and be like, this person came to me and I have to believe that, like spirit's working through me, and you don't even think about it. If they ask you, you just,
Right,
you just try to help them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
But then when you exit the situation and you start to like, you feel kind of like, wow, I feel like within my life and with my job, there's so many oddities of how people come to me and why. It's like my life definitely does not have a linear type of style when it comes to relationships or how I associate with people, because I'm associating with people younger, older. Some people, are looking at me at this angle. Some people are looking at me at that angle, depending on all different types of how they meet me. Yeah, it's strange. And I'm sure you feel that way too.
It is. It's fascinating because I'll just say, like in my mind, I'm still in my 20s. Like that's where my mind's at, right?
Yeah.
Like I have this young energy, but then my body is like, definitely I'm an old lady. Like I'm in my 50s, I'm falling apart. Okay. And so it's interesting because I do seem to attract like that younger generation and the older generation, because I think I put out both energies, and I think you're similar. You have a definite old soul, and you're definitely like, this isn't your first lifetime. Like, you can feel that about you. So I feel like you would attract the older people as much as you would attract the younger people. And you have this balance within you that you do remind me like you might have some Libra in you, because you feel that way. Because I'm a Libra and I feel like a lot of that with you, but I don't think you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. I don't do astrology, but you definitely have that balance energy with you, right? And I love that.
Yeah, no, I try to be very just and fair, and I don't have a lot of it in my chart, but I'll tell you what. People will ask me that often. They ask me that question, and they also, how can I put this? Also, too, I attract a lot. I know more Libras than any other.
When is your birthday, Kelley?
August 13th.
So is that a Virgo?
So
no.
I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo, and.
So I attract a lot of Virgos. I attract a ton of Virgos and Sagittarius and Scorpios. So a lot of my friends are September to December birthdays. It's so interesting.
I know a lot, and a lot of my friends are in that October kind of range. I also know a lot of Aries too.
Oh, me
but
too. In my family, Aries and what's the goat?
Capricorn.
Capricorn. 6 Capricorns in my family. Wow. Literally, like January is 6 birthdays.
Wow.
Nieces, sister, everything. A bunch of nieces and a sister and a great nephew. And then I have 1, 2, 3 Aries in my family: my sister, my brother, and my daughter. Yeah, I attract them.
That's amazing that there's like clusters. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, there's number correlation. Maybe this is our sign to take some of the comments that people are saying. But I I love to hear. So I love to hear you're like, Capricorns and Aries, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I love to go down with people.
Right? Oh my
what
gosh.
energy do you attract? What kind of
Yes.
this or that? I could tell you kind of reasons why, and you could tell me kind of reasons why too. So let's see. I'm gonna go up to. There was some cool questions earlier, and please,
I
if you
know
have
I
any,
saw so many, but I can't do anything on them. Yeah.
let's see. I'm seeing if I can find one. There's comments. Someone. There was like two I really wanted. If I can't find it, I'm just gonna take a random one.
You're so I know you're like me. I'm like, I can't find them. That's what I have Brianna for. She helps me. She has better eyes.
It does help to have someone in the background. I hear you.
Yeah.
This is one. Can someone communicate with you if their actual body, this is from Stephanie. Can someone communicate with you if their actual body is still alive, but either in dementia or Alzheimer's state? Communication through a medium?
Yes. I love that question. I believe they can. What about you, Kelley? Do you believe that? I've had connections. So my mother had Alzheimer's for pretty much the last 10 years of her life. And what really kind of sealed the deal for me, because Andy Bing was like, I've never happened to me. I don't believe it. Right. But what sealed the deal for me is I was in Seattle at a workshop with AJ Barrera. Olson hosted this one. And I'm doing his workshop, and I'm in the workshop doing my lessons. And then we have a break. And on the break, I called my sister. And my sister was at the nursing home with my mom. And she says, Mom keeps talking about my mom's bedridden and can't walk, that she needs new tennis shoes because they're coming to get her. And I said, who's coming to get her? And she said, that's what I said. She says, every day these people come to get her and they take her for these walks in the mountains. And nobody communicates, but they're all so loving. And she wants new shoes because her shoes don't fit her anymore. And I'm like, that's so weird, Stacy. And I'm like, what is wrong with Mom? She's losing it. So I go back to the workshop, and the first exercise that AJ gives us is that we have to sit with partners, and the partners are going to bring through somebody with an image. And so I'm getting the reading, and the sitter says, I've got a telephone in my hand, and I'm connecting with somebody, and I think it's your mom. And she says, you were just talking to your sister and you were talking smack about her. And she says, stop talking smack about her. And I was like, what? Because I was like, I was talking smack because we were making fun of my mom. We're like, well, I need shoes. And we're like, you can't even walk. Why do you need shoes? You know, we were making fun of it. And she was like, she came through and she was like, your mom says, don't make fun of her. It's not nice. And I was like, I mean, totally blew my mind away. And I'm like, my mom is still here. She's like, nope, she's in the spirit world. And I'm like, no, she is still here. I just got off the phone with my sister who was with her. And she was like, oh. So then that we were, AJ was like explaining the same thing I believe. Like, she's clearly just coming through because she's half here, half there.
Yes.
That was my first experience. And that was back in 2016. And I was like, okay, I totally believe if you're in Alzheimer's dementia, you are going to come through. And since then, I've done so many readings where I've connected with people that were still here, but in a dementia or Alzheimer's or in a coma. Yeah, I've connected with several people in comas. Definitely connected with them and sat with them and talked with them. It was beautiful.
Wow.
And they came out of their coma and said to me, Kelley, I saw you. You were with me. We talked. And I said, yes, we did. And they knew exactly what we talked about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I totally 100% believe it. Yes.
I believe it too. I've talked to people in comas, and it's almost like you say something to them and you can tell by the way that they move, even that they can hear you, that they can respond to you sometimes, not always. There's that. And then I've done readings where someone has been in a coma and they have felt like they've been in spirit, or they've felt like they've been in and out. I believe in general. So this is just a general statement first. We're reading souls.
Yes.
We're reading souls. you can get extremely detailed information on someone psychically, or mediumistically, and you're just going to feel what the constitution of their energy is closer to. So you would liken it, if someone's in a coma, probably to feel something more like they're past. Their body is very weak. If they're not healthy, I've actually felt people who are very, very sick. They actually have energy closer to mediumship sometimes than psychic, physical vitality. So there's that. And then one time, this is an interesting story. So I was doing a Reiki session on somebody, and I'm very psychically usually connected to someone's energy during a psychic reading. Everybody works differently. Like some people will receive messages from guides as they're working with, the person, or they'll see their spirit or loved ones come in, and they will talk about it during or after. I'll get messages from spirit, but I'm not aware of who's standing around me unless they directly go, "Hey, I need to tell you something." So I'm really focused on the person's body. So then all of a sudden I'm with the person, and I go to this person's ribs, and I go, "Wow, there's something really off here." And so I start spending all this extra time on the person's rib, and I start seeing a spirit figure stand behind me, and I felt like this was connected to this person, but I was too busy focusing on the rib because it looked all black, it looked all gooey, and I was just like, okay, I have to focus here. So at the end of it, I go, "Hey, I wouldn't think this of you, but there was all this energy in your rib area and on your left side, and I had to spend a lot of time there. And spirit was telling me to stay there, and I saw someone standing beside you." And she's like, "You know what?" She's like, "The weirdest thing happened when you were doing that. I all of a sudden saw a visual of my friend who's in the hospital. He's in and out of a coma right now, and he had an injury on in his rib area. That's what is part of the reason why he's in the hospital." And so what happened was he had stepped into her aura. Since he's out of his body, he had stepped into her aura, and he was overlaid on her energy while I was doing healing with her. And so she was described, because I was like, it was a male who was standing beside you. And she's like, "Yeah, he's a male." And she's like, "You're reminding me that I have to go see him." And so she actually was able to see him right before he passed.
Oh my God.
Right? Because he came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she had heard about what happened to him, but she hadn't seen him. And so it might come in left, right, up, down. You never know.
But be open, right?
Yeah. It baffles me. It baffles me.
When I first started developing, there was another medium that you probably know, but I won't mention names. Anyways, her son had some kind of an issue with his heart, and he was in his 30s and had a family, a wife and kids, and was in a coma, and they weren't sure if he was going to make it. He had some kind of a heart condition that they had to do surgery on. And so we were all in Seattle at a healing, retreat. And we were all sending love to him. And I went into a trance, and I felt like I was sitting with him in the hospital talking. And he was telling me, "Hey, please tell my mom I'm okay. And I'm not dying. I'm coming back.
Wow.
And I'm going to come back stronger than ever. And I'm going to be okay." So I told her that, and she thanked me. And that was the end of it. And a year later, I was at her house, and we were doing a development circle, the whole group. And in walks her son, and I knew him. I'd never met him before. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's your son that was in the coma, isn't it?" She was like, "Yes." And I said, "I met him." And he kind of looked at me and said, "I look familiar."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I didn't say anything to him, because I was like, I don't want to freak the poor guy out. But he survived. And, it was a difficult time. He survived and everything. But it was a difficult time. And the fact that he thought I looked familiar was clue to me, yeah, we talked. We talked while you were in the hospital. You had a conversation with me. It was crazy. And you told me you were coming back. And I told your mom, and you did. Yeah, because the doctors were telling her it wasn't looking good, and they didn't think he was going to make it. And he made it. Yeah.
That's an incredible story. That's an incredible story.
I
Wow.
definitely believe that we're able to connect with people in comas, Alzheimer's, dementia for sure, because I've had too many experiences, you know? Yeah, it's
Um,
beautiful.
and and that's what I keep hearing from people, like, there's an awareness there, and you can communicate just like you're awake, even though obviously it seems very, very different. I wanna take another one, let's see. There was there was one right above it. This is the other one. They're the 2 elusive questions that I really wanted to let's see. If I can't find it, again, I'll go with another one. Hmm. Okay. Well then, all right. We'll do this one. I can't find the other one. I'll look for it still. Someone's talking about like the energy of being alone and why this is. I feel like we like went into this, but if there's any like kind of final things you have on it, she's basically saying I've been a loner. It's hard to be in public because I can go in a good mood, but once I'm there, I start getting mood swings. So being an empath and how that's hard for her. I'm
Mhm.
very selective of people, and I don't really like to chat much anymore. So hence. No friends to speak of, but a few acquaintances, pretty much just my coworkers outside that I go everywhere, but I go everywhere alone except with my dogs. Why is this?
You
Why
haven't
is
found your group, you haven't found your tribe. You're an empath, you're a sensitive, you need to join the spiritual community because I think I was a lot like you. I had a hard time with real people until I delved into this spiritual community. Now I have, like, the most amazing friends. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I think yeah, you have to find your tribe and that takes time and you have to it's like a spiritual trial, especially for some people, so don't give up.
Yeah,
We're made to connect truly. We can't
yeah,
we're all a part of each other. We can't help but
right?
connect. It just takes a moment
Yeah,
to find what is worth connecting for ourselves. But I do think part of the problem is some people are empaths and they feel like they can't trust people or they feel drained or they feel anxious. um, it's either you're an empath or you have gone through so much within your life that life has really offset your nervous system too, and something has not been fully um, hasn't found the proper equilibrium. So it's like you have found a version of it, but then when someone's a little bit, let's say, cynical or someone's a little bit angry, all of a sudden your nervous system goes, oof, I don't like that. And then it feels like it's not worth it to be here.
yeah,
Right. Or,
yeah, we're feeling their energy. So I feel like I never had real friends until I started developing until I was 40, and I'm 54 now. For, like, the first 40 years of my life, I struggled, I was awkward, I was the weird one, I was the oddball, I wasn't everybody's cup of tea, you know? Now I feel like I'm not an oddball, I fit in with everybody. I love it. Yeah,
yeah, I do think it's possible to, in some ways, fit in with everybody. Yeah. To just go, I'm me and you're you and what's up and see
we're
ya,
different,
or hey, let's
yeah, accept me or
continue to
don't,
hang out.
I'm okay with it.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not easy to find your tribe. I luckily when I was younger, I met a good group of friends that I'm still in contact with. They don't have any interest in mediumship, but they're very kind and supportive.
yeah,
But they live in Illinois and I live in California, so I don't have like an active friend group circle. But I always have this one group that it's like we just kind of found each other and we all supported each other. And so
yeah,
again, there's a naturalness to it, but I'm still finding my group, as a medium. I still am. So please, Cheryl, like whether you're hearing it from Kelley with the EY or Kelley with the Y or another medium, it's a journey. Keep going. You might find your people in 10 years or in 2 years, but as long as you put yourself out there, you're going to have people come your way and teach you things that
yeah,
you need to know about
it's a
yourself.
beautiful thing. Yes. So Kelley, it is getting late, and I have a client coming in 15 minutes.
We are wrapping it up.
I know. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We went down the rabbit hole really today.
Of course, always with
all
you.
These wonderful questions.
You and I both. Like, we love to go down that rabbit hole.
I know. We have some. Forgive me for not getting some more questions sooner. I'm starting to see them pop up.
Yes.
But please, Kelley, you're always welcome on the show. And just know that there's so much love for you. So I always give the guests the last word. Kelley, is there anything off the cuff that you want others to know or that comes to you? That's how we close the show.
Well, I just feel like everybody needs to have a positive attitude about 2025 because that's going to help us create the best 2025 ever. I do think that we're coming out of a lot of weird energy for the last 4 years. And I think this is the year where we're going to kind of switch things up. So I feel like everybody needs to have a good attitude and focus on the positive things that we want to really manifest this year, because I feel like this is a manifestation year. That's my belief.
I do too. Absolutely. Yes. I do too. Please take that to heart with what Kelley is saying. And everybody, thank you for all your comments. And hopefully the things that we did talk about kind of answered some of your questions or stimulated some of your ideas that you were sending us. A lot of lovely, lovely interaction today. With that said, I will see you next week for the Psychic Hour. Yay. And you can catch me on Kelley's show as well in a week's time too. So you'll see Kelley and myself again. Please go with love, luck, and light, everybody. And don't forget to live. We will see you next week. Bye.